I could
Thank you,
help.
not now.
Yeah.
That's not gonna haunt us for the rest of our lives at all.
If you're a fan of Inside Out, you're probably rooting for joy in the old emotions. But have you ever imagined what would happen if, in fact, all emotions switched to anxiety's side and abandoned joy? It's more likely than you think, and it could really happen. The emergence of anxiety. When we all saw anxiety in the first trailer of Inside Out 2, we all thought, where did this new emotion come from anyway? And the truth is that apparently emotions are created and even transformed in the minds of each person according to their needs and environment. Which shows us that anxiety was actually considered necessary by Riley's brain, so it put it there, in the control center of our protagonist's little head. And not just her, but ennui, envy, and embarrassment too. So we can say that actually all these new emotions are fruits of nature and they have a purpose to exist. I can even understand the existence of all of them, even ennui, since that's something we've all felt at least once in life, isn't it? And in the latest teaser of the new Inside Out movie, it was shown that actually the old emotions had no idea how to operate the control panel installed in Riley's mind. But the new emotions, especially anxiety, have already emerged, or been created, programmed to understand how to operate this new control panel, which shows that it's not by chance that they're here. Which leads us all to think that they might actually be in the right place. So this could even be the conclusion of the old emotions at some point, which would make perfect sense. After all, they're all there for one reason: Riley's happiness. As much as we know that Riley's new and old emotions will come into conflict at some point in the movie, there is one point they all have in common. They all want the best for our dear Riley. Of course, each of them will do it in their own way, at least until they realize they might be wrong, just like Joy did at the end of Inside Out, when she understood that sadness was really an important emotion. In fact, sadness herself acknowledged for a brief moment that for her, sadness was Riley's most important emotion. But she was wrong, and the blue emotion herself proved it when she saw Joy withdrawing, as if she wasn't needed. And in fact, at that moment the two emotions came together so that Riley could be emotionally balanced, and thus, they created Riley's first mixed long-term memory, half happy and half sad. All this shows us fans of Inside Out that each of the emotions has the ability to realize they've made mistakes and can change their minds. Joy thought sadness was useless and considered herself the most important of all, always proud that most of Riley's long-term memories were happy. But then, Joy's opinion changed completely, and she started to feel useless and considered sadness more important. And for the third and last time, she changed her mind once again, when sadness demonstrated by taking Joy's hand and sharing the controls of the emotions in harmony, making it clear that all emotions are indeed important. After all of them, even the new emotions, want Riley to be happy. And if you also believe that the purpose of emotions is to make them have a better life, comment below, #happiness, to bring good omens to everyone. It's exactly this way of thinking that can infect all emotions. They can understand over time that anxiety has a very special reason, just like sadness, to be there, in Riley's mind, which is probably true too. Switching sides. Maybe you've already noticed, but everything we've talked about so far shows that first, Joy has the ability to, from time to time, make mistakes, and big ones, by the way.
Have I ever steered you wrong before?
Many times.
Second, anxiety can take advantage of exactly this point to bring the other emotions to its side. When anxiety appears, it scares everyone, and the emotions go behind joy. But over time, they all begin to understand that anxiety isn't there to harm Riley, and they'll be able to realize this even better when anxiety is explaining to them that its function is to plan Riley's future, which is exactly the main purpose of each of them, to make our protagonist's life the best possible. And by realizing this, emotions like embarrassment, ennui, and envy support anxiety's decisions to make a new plan for Riley's life to be as perfect as possible. This may actually include all of them, even disgust, fear, anger, and sadness. Of course, Joy won't agree with this, since for her, anxiety's methods aren't the best. Besides, she'll actually be taking the place that used to belong to Joy, which is the role of leading the emotions on the journey to make Riley happy, which can end up generating another point: the isolation of Joy. Of course, all the old emotions like joy, especially disgust and sadness. But at the same time, they all have encoded within them, when they were created by Riley's brain, that their main purpose is actually to serve the girl's needs as she requires, regardless of which emotion will ultimately be leading Riley's mind. And this wouldn't only happen with our protagonist. For example, you can see that in Riley's mom's mind, the emotion in charge is sadness. But just like all children, surely the predominant emotion in her mind during her childhood and adolescence must have been joy. However, at some point during the course of her life, with difficulties, work, and family, gradually the most used emotion in her mind must have been sadness, so that she became the leader of Riley's mom's mind. The same thing we can deduce also happened in Riley's dad's mind, only with anger instead of sadness and joy. And gradually, he became the chief emotion, which apparently happened without the need for a conflict between the emotions, since they all get along there. And since Riley is not yet an adult, we can't say for sure which will be the predominant emotion in the girl's mind when she grows up. It might be disgust, maybe. Or perhaps ennui. Impossible to say for sure, but we can affirm it won't be joy, no matter how much we hope it will be her. However, if it happens that all emotions support anxiety's new plan, surely joy may end up being the only repressed emotion, and end up abandoning the control center of Riley's mind. Or she might even stay there, but with no motivation to do anything, just like it would have happened at the end of the first movie if sadness hadn't called her back. But thankfully, she did come back, because life without joy isn't good at all. And our goal is to make our subscribers happier and happier. That's why we make videos every day. So if you're not subscribed yet, click the button and subscribe now. Taking a moment to think about the relationship between emotions in Riley's mind, there's also the possibility of emotions living in harmony. Just as it's possible for Joy to be isolated, or even isolate herself upon realizing she can't defeat anxiety, at least not during this phase of Riley's life, there's also the chance of something completely different happening. Joy might actually join anxiety and show that together they're much better, and that in fact, this could do much better for Riley than anxiety alone could imagine. In this way, anxiety and the new emotions can help the old emotions to be more sophisticated, teaching them how to operate correctly on the new control panel. At the same time, the old emotions can teach the new emotions about all of Riley's preferences, since they've been following Riley's life for many years and know everything she likes and dislikes, including broccoli pizza. This would also help anxiety realize that some actions she took, believing they were the best for Riley, would actually be hindering her, like distancing herself from her friends, or trying to be someone she's not, just to fit into a group of girls she considers popular. And by showing that this isn't the way, and that the real Riley would never act like that, the new and old emotions can put Riley on the right path. In this way, they would all be acting and living in harmony, and could create an environment of peace among the emotions. Perhaps even creating a new form of organization within Riley's head, where there wouldn't be a leading emotion, as in the minds of our protagonist's parents, as it was in her mind during the last 13 years of her life. So they could share opinions and together decide the best path for Riley to follow. This would certainly work better. Of course, since the future is and always will be uncertain, they would make mistakes, and Riley would learn from them, just like any human being. But even so, they would be wrong trying to get it right, which is part of Riley's growth and maturity, and each of us to tell the truth. So honestly, looking at it from this point of view, maybe the emotions side with anxiety just so they can make her stop doing everything wrong. It's not such a bad strategy. And over time, Joy herself would internalize that this could really be the best path. In this way, Riley would certainly be a much more balanced girl, and there wouldn't be any repressed emotion in her mind anymore. So she could just go back to being herself and have both old friends and new ones, just as she can have both old emotions and new ones too. Surely this is something I would love to see happening in Inside Out 2, and pretty soon we'll find out how this will happen. In the meantime, we're leaving 2 very cool videos for you to check out and entertain yourself while we wait for the continuation of Inside Out to be released. You can choose whichever you think is best. Have fun! Until next time!